Hi ladies, good afternoon. It is Sarah Shipton here from Scrapbooking with Sarah, and I'm coming live to you today on Tuesday, July 9th, 2024 with this week's Technique Tuesday class. I am super excited to share with you because today I am using all Stampin' Up! Product in this week's scrapbooking challenge, and we are doing a single page layout for this week's scrapbooking challenge. The photos that I have featured on my page today are of all of my besties, and we are celebrating a dear friend's 40th birthday. These photos were actually taken in Feb last year of 2023, and truth be told, I have actually scrapbooked the majority of these photos already. Some of you may actually recognize these photos because I used a promotional paper collection not long actually after this event took place last year. And the majority of those photos I did scrapbook on a double page spread. They were mostly of my friend Tani opening her birthday present. All of us girls pitched in and we got her a Tiffany voucher. So most of the photos that I actually scrapbooked were group photos and of her opening her birthday present. But I had some of these candid photos left over from later on in the evening. And truth be told, I actually printed the photos twice by accident. So yes, Scrapbooking with Sarah does have little hiccups along the road as well. And I printed the photos a second time by accident. Not all of them, but some of them I double printed. So I decided to create a scrapbooking layout of these candid shots, and I wanted to showcase this stunning specialty designer series paper pack, which is called Frames and Flowers. So before I talk about that and before I demonstrate the embossing folder technique, let's talk about the pattern that we are creating this week. And we are doing pattern number 8 from the Make It From Your Heart Volume 6 book From Close to My Heart. So I am still working with these scrapbooking patterns from this how-to pattern book. And this shows you a single page layout. Now, I have been creating all of the patterns in this book as double page layouts, except for pattern number 1. We did start with a single page layout with this book. And I was going to do a double page layout. However, I wanted to introduce you lovely ladies to the Frames and Flowers Specialty Designer Series paper pack. And in order for me to do that, you can see here that we are going to use 3 different sheets of paper with this pattern, but the pattern also obviously requires, like all of our scrapbook pages, it requires a base page. So I wanted to use a pattern piece of paper for the base page. I wanted to use a pattern piece of paper for paper number 1. So that requires a whole 12 by 12 sheet because we're cutting that at 10 by 10 inches. And then paper number 3 also requires a whole sheet of 12 by 12 inch paper because we're cutting that at paper measurements 8 by 8 inch. So by the time I have my base page, which is a pattern sheet, this one and this one, that is 3 different pattern sheets of paper, okay? And then the paper number 2 is going to be your mats for your photos, right? So we're cutting all of our photos down to 3 by 3 inches, which means my photo mats need to be 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 inch. So you are going to use 1 sheet of cardstock for paper number 2. Actually, I have a little helper here today, Miss Kayla. Could I trouble you to grab the color comparison chart from my workshop room, the Close to My Heart color comparison chart, because I want to talk about that to you today. Alrighty, so we have got our beautiful 12 by 12 sheet of paper here. Let's talk about the Flowers and Frames paper pack. So if you have your core catalogue, you will find this on page 28 and 29 of your Stampin' Up! Core catalogue. If you are accessing my online store, the item number for this product is 163765. Now, with this, thank you so much. With this paper pack, you're actually going to get 6 sheets of pattern paper, but it's 1 each of 3 double-sided designs. So if you're wanting to do a double-page scrapbooking layout, you're going to get stuck there. unless you bulk it up with the coordinating cardstock, because as you can see here, I have used all 3 sheets of the pattern paper. So this design here on the back is this design here. You can see, oh no, it's not, sorry. It's this solid color here. You can see I've cut a square in the back here to save my paper, and I could have actually cut that a little bit wider. Now, if you don't know how to do that tip, I have showed that in a previous video, where if you've got this beautiful sheet of pattern paper, you can actually cut out a square behind it, so then you can use the remainder of that on another layout. I love to do that when you have got not much of the one pattern and you want to save that. So I've used the floral pattern at the back here just to really make that pop. And then I've used one of the solid colors, which does have a pattern on it, but the back of that is actually floral. That's this floral sheet you can see here. Oh, no, it's not. The back of the pink one, sorry, is the floral sheet that you can see here. We are not going to see, oh, hang on a sec. No, the blue is next. Sorry, I have got that right. On the back of this beautiful blue paper, you've got this floral print. And then, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to grab the scraps out. That's going to make it a lot easier, right, girls? Holy dooly. See, when I go live, anything can happen, and I love to just teach off the cuff, because you know what? Let's face it. If I was doing this as an in-person workshop, what you see is what you're going to get. So in my Facebook Lives, I'm going to teach you exactly the same. What you see is what you get. So we've got this beautiful floral pattern. Let's start from scratch, right? The beautiful floral pattern is my base 12 by 12 page, which gives you this solid blue on the other side. And then this blue pattern has got the floral paper on the back, which I did have right. The second time I had right. And then this gorgeous peachy pattern paper has got another floral design on the back here, okay? So I went for this pattern because I just felt it was a little bit softer. With my photos, you can see here there's really warm tones. We've got some neutral colors here, leopard prints, this beautiful pink in Shelley's dress here. And then later in the evening, the photos take on quite a warm tone. I'm having some photos with some of my favorite teenage girls here, my bestie's daughters. So we love to do our filters in Snapchat and on Instagram. So you can see we've got this really nice warm tone here in the photo. So we have lots of fun. Sometimes we're just messing around and we're taking selfies of ourselves and having fun with different filters. And sometimes I love those photos and they turn out great and we print them. Look at the beautiful girls here. So they are your patterns, and you're going to get 3 sheets, and then you've got 6 patterns in total. So I guess you could compare this to the mix-in paper pack that you may have been used to from Close to My Heart, okay? So the really cool thing about this pack as well is not only do you get 3 sheets of pattern paper, you also get, I'm going to pull this out, and it's actually cut really well. As you can see, some of the die cuts have just fallen out really easily. You also get 3 sheets of these exclusive die cuts as well. So if you're not into stamping, I know some of my scrapbooking customers are not into stamping. You can see how easily these are falling out, girls. I know some of my scrapbooking customers are not into stamping, and that's okay, right? So this pack would be really beneficial for you if you want to embellish with these pre-cut die cuts. You can see here I've put one of the larger frames, one of the larger die cuts, sorry, in the middle of my layout. And this has got space for a title. So I've actually used the mini alphabet die cuts, which I have here. And I have been using this quite a bit on my scrapbooking layouts. So I've got my mini alphabet die cuts. I love this because you basically are cutting it out once and you're getting multiple letters of the same color, which is so easy. So I have used the cardstock color in Pine to cut out my letters and create the name Tani. And then you can see I've just tucked in some of the other die cuts in and underneath this larger one. And then I've punched out some of these smaller flowers. and so these 3 here, and I've just used 3D foam tape to pop a couple of those up. So it doesn't need a lot of embellishing at all because you have got that beautiful floral print in the background here. And then for my journaling, I haven't done a lot of journaling because, as I mentioned earlier, these are leftover photos, so the bulk of my journaling is on another layout. I've just used one of my journaling strip stickers here to highlight that it was a 40th birthday and the date. I am a stickler for putting dates on all my scrapbooking layouts because I think that's so important to record that. I mean, if I was to die tomorrow, all of my scrapbook albums are obviously going to be left to my family. I don't want my kids to have to be going through my album. My husband like, oh, when were these photos taken? And who are these people in the photos? And so forth and so forth. Now, these are my journaling strip stickers. So these are a leftover product that I've got from my time with Close to My Heart. I know that many of you bought these. I do actually have a couple of packs of these still left in stock. I am allowed to sell my Close to My Heart product up until the end of this year. And these are a great way for you can see I've cut some of my strips down. Quite often I will journal on the sticker first and then just cut it to then fit onto my layout. So that is my journaling strip sticker there. You can see I've got some frames here. You can use these as card fronts. I could cut them down and use them as photo mats. I'll cut my photos down and use them as photo mats. Or I could use this frame over the top of the photo as well. So you can see I've got quite a bit left over from this pack, which as a little tip for you, on the front of the packaging, it actually tells me which of the cardstock colors coordinate with this pattern paper and with these die cuts. So there's several different colors here. Now these are of course Stampin' Up colors. For those of you that are customers of mine that are transitioning over, you will know that I've posted this color comparison chart in our Facebook group. If you would like an email copy of this, please feel free to contact me directly and I can email this PDF back to you, no problem at all. And what I've done here is I've taken the Stampin' Up colors from the front of my packaging and I've used the color comparison chart to coordinate that with Close to My Heart colors that I have in stock still. So I do still have some cardstock, obviously the inks as well if I was going to be stamping. And I can actually use those cardstock to bulk up the leftover remainder of the flowers and frames pack. The other really cool thing as well, for those of you that do like to do stamping, there is a coordinating stamp set for this pack and you can see some beautiful artwork that's been created with some cards and also some paper crafting projects there as well. So I'm going to pop these to the side because that is all for the frames and flowers pack. And now we are going to cut the embossing. No, we're not going to cut, sorry. We're actually going to use the embossing folders. So I have used an embossing folder on the back of my layout here. And I have used the Stampin' Cut and Emboss embossing folder eyelet. It's a 3D embossing folder. There are 4 different sizes of embossing folders that Stampin' Up stock. And you will find all of those embossing folders on my website and also in the catalogue as well. But the catalogue, unfortunately, doesn't reference the embossing folder sizes. So it would definitely be worthwhile jumping onto the website because you will see all of the embossing folders there. And if you do have a copy of the core catalogue, you will find the embossing folders on pages 128 and 129 of your core catalogue. So I have used the eyelet 3D embossing folder on my scrapbooking layout here. I wanted to introduce that to you. And I did have a look at coordinating cardstock colours and I settled on the white daisy purely because it just looked the best, to be honest with you. I wasn't a real fan on the peach. I couldn't really quite figure it out with the colour comparison chart, to be entirely honest. So I've just settled on the white daisy cardstock and it looks gorgeous. I'm going to demonstrate that to you. I've got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine here. I am flat out obsessed with this machine, girls. I cannot tell you enough how much I love this machine. And I have done a video, a Facebook Live on the hybrid embossing folders, and it was only the second time I had used the machine. So if you go back and watch that video, you have to bear with me, because Stampin' Up! Sarah is very different to Close to My Heart Sarah, and she is learning lots of new things. So I have got the 3D embossing folders down pat though, and I am going to emboss some paper with you today using the eyelet folder. I'm just going to grab some cardstock here that I have already got pre-cut, and this is one of the Stampin' Up! Colours, the 2024 to 2026 in colour peach pie. Now you can see that I'm going to need to cut that down, so I'm just going to grab my trimmer because it's not going to fit in there, and let's just cut this down. I'm going to cut this at 3 inches because this is, oh no, I cut it at 3 1/4. I'm going to cut it at 3 1/4 because that was the size I did for my mat, and lengthwise that's going to work just perfectly. I am loving my new Stampin' Up! Trimmer, I have to tell you. So let's do some embossing. Now, I did make a boo-boo when I shared this machine with you the first time, and I thought that when you opened the sides of that actually secured that in place, and that was incorrect. So I do apologize for giving you the wrong information about that, but it has got rubber feet on there, so I promise you that when you've got it on your workbench, it is going to stay just perfect. Now, the embossing folder comes with my mats, so I'm going to use my base mat. It actually tells me here as well, which is another thing I love about this embossing machine. I don't have to get my instructional guide out every time I want to use it. I can see just here I'm using my 3D embossing folder, and if you're not sure, it will tell you on the packaging if your embossing folder is a 3D one. And what that means is it's just a little thicker than a normal embossing folder, which means I don't need as many of these plates to actually run my 3D embossing folder through my embossing machine. So I'm using plate number 1. All my plates are numbered. Love it. I'm then going to put my cardstock into the 3D embossing folder. Now, there's actually, it's not open. There's no open gap here. So this is not an embossing folder that you can run your cardstock continually through. So I'm just going to pop my embossing folder, my cardstock in the embossing folder. I've got plate number 1. I'm going to put my 3D embossing folder straight on top of that. And then it tells me that I need to use plate number 4. Okay, so that is as simple as it is. And let me tell you girls, this thing cuts and embosses like butter. It's so easy to use. I love it. I didn't think I needed a new embossing machine, but this is the 3rd embossing machine I have invested in the last 11 years. And I will tell you truthfully, hands down, it is my favorite one. Look how easy it was to run that through. So I've run that through, and I'm going to open this up, and it's like magic. It's like magic. How pretty is that? So I've got my positive print on one side, which I love, and then I've got the negative print on the other. So there's lots of other different techniques that you can do for that. I have used the white daisy cardstock to emboss my paper. You can only just very lightly see. But the thing with that is that it actually lifts the photo up off of the cardstock a little bit, so it's not flat. I do really love textured paper. I love textured cardstock. It just adds a little bit of pop and dimension to it. So how cute is that? Now, obviously, I've covered the majority of the embossing with the photo. So what I wanted to do today was actually share some cards with you where I have used that eyelet embossing folder. So this is on the Petunia Pop cardstock, and I've just run that through. That particular size embossing folder is a really great size for cards. This one retails for $17.50. That's in Australian dollars. So I have used the Petunia Pop cardstock here, and I've run the 2 strips. I had this pre-cut. That's 5.5 inches by 1.5 inches. And so I was able to run this through lengthways. So 2 sheets of cardstock there. and emboss them at the same time. And you can see I've got a couple of cards there. And the only thing I've done different here is switch out the designer series paper. I've just turned them up. There's a different pattern on each side. So one's turned up with the circles and the other is turned up with this other motif here. And that's been able to create two different cards there. So I've used the Eyelet 3D embossing folder to make those cards. And I've also used, which you guys have seen me demonstrate before, the Dotted Circles 3D embossing folder. I invested in this one because it is the largest of the 4 different size embossing folders we have. So a really great size for scrapbooking. The measurements are actually on the packaging. So this is a 6 by 8.5 inch embossing folder. And the smaller eyelet one I've used is 4.5 by 6.25 inches, which is a great size embossing folder for your card fronts. Okay. So the Dotted Circles 3D embossing folder, I've made these cards. I'm going to show you these 2 different ones. So you can see here this beautiful dotted circles pattern. I love embossed cardstock and that textured feel. It's just so pretty. This is in the Summer Splash color. These cards here, and I've actually stamped them on the front. This is 1st, 2nd, and 3rd generation stamping. And then I decided that I didn't like that as much. So I've done the 1st generation stamping and then just the 2nd generation stamping here in the middle. So 30 of these cards I whipped up yesterday. If you follow me on Instagram or on my Facebook page, you can watch a fun reel that I posted today on my accounts, Scrapbooking with Sarah Shipton. You can see a fun reel where I've actually demonstrated making those cards there. So that's just a little added technique there I wanted to share with you. Different ways you could use the embossing folders, not only in your scrapbooking, but also in your card making as well. So I hope you have enjoyed our Technique Tuesday class today, girls, with the 12 by 12 single page layout. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm rushing today, but I do have to take my darling daughter Kayla off to an appointment, so we are about to make a move. But I hope you have enjoyed our Technique Tuesday class today. I can't wait to see what you come up with your pattern. It is a single page pattern. If you want to create it as a double page spread, that's okay too, but you will get only the 1 entry per 1 single page layout. So I hope that has inspired you today with the beautiful new frames and flowers, paper collection and coordinating die cuts. And stay tuned because I am actually going to show some more layouts with my leftover from that particular pack. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you so much for watching if you did join us live, and I will be uploading this video to our scrapbooking group on Facebook and also to my YouTube channel, Scrapbooking with Sarah Shipton. Have a great week. Can't wait to see what you create with ladies. Bye for now.